Come on, let's play.
All right there, Revenants. Hey, how are you doing today? Welcome back to the gifted weapon explanations. And what I'd like to discuss today is a little bit of a comparison set between the most monstrous scaling weapon in the game, the Wrathful Balmung. This weapon is the highest potential damage that you can possibly get in the game. But at level 1, where we are right now, things take a little bit of a different turn just because of the fact that you don't really have huge scaling factors available to you. So how do you play the game in such a way that you can still get these massive one-shot abilities while at the same time still feeling like the game is balanced and fair? So today we're going to discover a little bit of this on the Successor of the Throat here, because she has monstrous amounts of health, and today is no exception. So here we are on 2 stars, and she has 120,510 HP that we need to chew through in one fell swoop. So today we're going to experiment with a bunch of this. So first thing we're going to look at is the value that we have here. Remember, the slow weapon is the Balmung, and the normal mobility here is the Lost Zweihander, and we'll take a peek at what these values actually come out to be. So we'll start off here by just looking at the values and see how you can start to understand a pictorial difference between scaling and gifting. In my opinion, gifting is a much more interesting way to play in vein, rather than going for actual scaling values. But when you get to be much higher in the game, scaling is all you have. So think about that, keep that in mind. So this is what we would be going into the fight with if we were to play the Balmung. So it's at 12,789 with a massive scaling number and 20% ice added to it. And the Lost Zweihander, on the other hand, though, is at 18,438 with a monstrous scaling factor there. And we have a 20% on ice on top of this. And we are quick mobility here, but we have mobility enhancers, so it's not a big deal. So you can see that we have very stark differences between the number values that we are going up against here. Now, according to the controls here of how the game is working, in order to solve for a value that we need to get over, we need to have over an 18,222 damage value with the current setup here that we have, in order to actually pull off the 5 times multiplier from Steadfast Strike, as well as coupled with her resistances that we need to overcome. So keep that in mind. And with this setup here, we, as you saw there, we were at 18,438 with 20% of Frost Weapon. So we were about 230 damage over the value that we know we need to calculate for. So let's go ahead and see what the Balmung does to her, and we'll see the exact representation of the differences of scaling versus gifted at low level here. And this kind of setup can be done at max level, because gifting evens the playing field completely, and so there is no this is locked to level 1 play only or something like that. So keep that in mind. Okay, so here we go. And you'll see that 12,000 number will translate over to our damage here very quickly. And you'll see what kind of value you can get out of what we are doing. Okay, so we are quick mobility, and we'll bring on the extra 5% here. And forget Jack, he's just doing whatever. So 72,000 about is kind of where we land that strike. And again, that's with kind of the scaling power that we have for, you know, this level of character at low level 1, so on and so forth. Now, if we go for that same thing, we will not use the freezing cartridge, and we will not use the mobility enhancer. We'll just go for the gift accelerator, which will help us speed up our gameplay as well. So let's watch this and just enjoy the ability of understanding what you're playing with, as opposed to just mashing random buffs together and such, which is what I did for a long time to try and figure this out. But this is the real power of, you know, just understanding actually what you're going into each of the fights with. Okay, here we go. Almost there. Good. And we need to remember this. Okay. And get ready for the fireworks, because this is such an enjoyable spectacle to watch something with this much HP just disappear instantly. And because we know exactly that how much damage we need, we are over that threshold by about 200. And if you give up on any of these buffs anywhere, maybe survival instinct you could do without, maybe, but that's not, you know, how we actually go about it. So how that number is broken up is when we actually look at the spreadsheet here. Let me bring this up. When we look at the spreadsheet here, this is our weapon base value. And then if we look in here, now we said that we had to be above 18,222 is what we calculate from our solver. And we see here that we only have an 1863. So we go down to the very bottom, because that's always how binary works, that the last one is at the bottom. And we see that we have the 1863 here with no offensive order in this column here. And so we have 1863, and that tells us that we are losing 48% of our multipliers, because this is what we've calculated with this crazy if statement up here. And then this is through the multiplier coefficient, we come up with the 1863 number. Now you'll say, oh, and that's not higher than the 18,222, but when you take 1863 plus the 375 of survival instinct, it pushes you over the edge, because 1863, watch this, 18,063 plus 375 gives you 18,438, which is exactly the number we saw on the physical damage there. And it's because of survival instinct, it gives you just that little bit push over the edge to get that value. Now you could go with something else and then go for a freezing cartridge, because this is a 5% multiplier to that 1863, so you don't really need survival instinct, but it makes it such a clean, crisp number. And so if we run the numbers here, so 1863 plus 375 times a 5 times multiplier for steadfast strike, times 1.2 for our quick mobility from swift destruction, because of final journey and being normal mobility here already. And then we times 1.2 for the ice, because that's 20% damage. And then we multiply by 0.9 for her resistances against a slash weapon. And that brings us, oh, hang on. And yeah, so that brings us to 119,478. And you say, well, where's that extra 1,000 coming from? And it's because of that 18,438 how that multiplies into her damage here, that that extra 1,000 is where we sometimes can place the freezing cartridge in here, and that is what pushes us just that teeny tiny bit over the edge. So let me illustrate that here. So if we run this one more time, so you're just shy of the 120,510, right? And so if we go back through this and we go here. Oh, whoops. Why is we not doing that? Okay. Okay, that was weird. Okay, let's try that again. So the order here absolutely matters. So you have to make sure that you're doing things in the exact order here that we are prescribing, because otherwise things just don't work.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so we'll get this going here again, and then we go here. So it's very interesting how all of this works together, and how things happen in certain ways in order to make sure that you are absolutely... I didn't need that, but we did it anyways. Okay, so no, we're not doing any 5% cartridge there. And we still get the one shot. And so it's very nice that you don't need that 5%, because of how the game, once it actually goes into the 5 times multiplier, you can calculate a value, and if you're off by, like 500 or so, the game gets you an exact value that pushes you over the edge. Because in our solver, remember, we needed 18,222, and we are over that at 18,438. And so because of that, we don't have to worry about trying to understand, does it work or why not. But the nice thing is that the math actually checks out when you put it all together. So that's kind of the difference between a scaling value set and an actual gifted weapon set. So the Lost Zweihander is one of the highest scalers for this type of destruction in the game, and so if you get a chance to get one of these at low level, or really at any level, just put gifts on it and then mess around with some of these crazy build potentials. And I'm going to try and find a way to talk through the spreadsheet completely this coming weekend. So we'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed seeing the difference between gifted and scaling. We'll see you later. Bye.